First City Focus is supported in part by First Vincennes Savings Bank, a community lender committed to making loan decisions locally. Online at frsb.net. Good Samaritan, a regional healthcare center offering a variety of services from primary care to same-day joint replacement surgery and more. Good Samaritan online at gshvin.org. Duke Energy, powering the lives of its customers and communities. Online at duke-energy.com. And by Vincennes PBS members, thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to First City Focus. I'm your host, Nicole Carey. On this episode, construction is winding down at the new Veterans Affairs Clinic in Vincennes. We'll find out how this new facility will enhance the care our veterans receive when the doors open in just a few weeks. The Verne Store is celebrating more than 125 years of serving Knox County. We'll take a look at the history and what the future may hold for this iconic landmark. And the Daviess County Museum is preparing for a great speaker series. We'll find out what's being planned. We have these stories and more right now on First City Focus. Construction of a new VA clinic in Vincennes started not quite a year ago, and in just a few weeks the doors will be opening, bringing a new era for care for those who have served our country. Here to update us on the clinic as well as another local event coming up is Executive Director of the Marion VA Healthcare System, Zach Sage. Thanks for being here again.
Thank you.
It's crazy to think that you were here not quite a year ago.
Yeah.
We were talking about the excitement that's going to come with the opening of this new VA clinic, and here we are. How has the process been over the last year as you see this building come to life?
Yeah, it's really transformed over the last few months. It was just kind of a shell of the building, and I recently was able to go inside and see the nearly finished product, and it's a beautiful clinic. Drove by it on the way here today, and really excited to get it open.
Once this facility opens, how do you see it transforming the care for local veterans?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that we're going to continue our primary missions there, primary care and behavioral health. Those are our foundational services that we're going to offer veterans into the future. We're also going to be offering veterans more specialty care through telehealth, which has been well received by veterans all throughout our service area. And then I think an enhancement that veterans need to learn about in this new clinic is what we have to offer for whole health. And that's kind of a unique program for VA. It's a bit unique. Other hospital organizations don't offer this, but it's really about asking the veteran what matters for you. And we're going to have in-person health coaching for veterans available, and then also continuing to grow those specialty services.
I know you and I were talking last year, the number of veterans that just don't sign up for the services that they're entitled to. They earned it.
That's right.
How has it gone in the last year, and where do we still need to go?
Yeah, the PACT Act was one of our big topics last time, and I can tell you that veterans across the country have signed up for VA benefits in huge numbers. In Southwest Indiana, around Vincennes, we've also seen a big increase in veterans using VA services, about 5% over this time last year.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. There are hundreds of veterans. By my math, we have about 2,600 veterans that are eligible to get VA services but have not yet engaged with us. And I really want those veterans to get all of the services that they're entitled to.
So what's the first step that they need to take to see about the services, to maybe get convinced that they should sign up?
Yeah, I think that every veteran's journey through the military is unique, but I think the PACT Act really highlights that so many of our service members were exposed to really dangerous things.
Right.
A lot of veterans don't really think a whole lot of it. They just think it was them doing their jobs.
Right.
But I think that there really has to be an examination of their own service and maybe what's going on with their health. And then get in touch with a service officer. So Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs, any of the veteran service organizations like DAV, VFW, American Legion, or even just come into our clinic here in Vincennes. Those are great ways to get started. Start asking questions. It all begins by just asking, what am I eligible for? How do I start? And, applying is a pretty simple process. And I encourage all veterans to explore their benefits.
One good opportunity, maybe easy opportunity, will be the Veterans Resource Fair that you're going to host here at VU in just a few weeks.
Yeah, on the 15th at the Governor's
Governor's Hall.
Governor's Hall, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to have a presentation for all of the services that VA has to offer. We're going to have just a ton of resources there. Our staff will have all the material that you would ever want to learn about VA programs. We're also going to have the support of the Veterans Benefits Administration out of Indianapolis at this event. So veterans that are really just thinking about this for the first time can get some of those questions answered directly. Even if you wanted to begin a claim, the right people are going to be at this event on the 15th to really start.
When we talk about whole health, especially mental health, plays a huge part in taking care of oneself. What kind of movement do you feel like the VA is making to try to address that with veterans? Yeah,
I think veterans, they have this wonderful benefit when they get VA healthcare where we are really partnering with the veteran to focus on what matters to them. And I keep saying that because that's the question that our providers and our staff are going to ask the veteran. You know, is it you want to be able to play a round of golf, you want to hold your grandkids, or are you just thinking that you want to have more time with your loved ones? And you know, there might be problems in your health that we can work on to fix, but also that preventive aspect is huge in VA. So anything we can do to help veterans avoid poor healthcare outcomes and have better wellness, that's what whole health is in VA.
When we talk about the facility here opening in Vincennes, when you have gone through it, what stands out to you? What do you are hoping that the veterans, when they walk through the door, the impression they get?
Yeah, I think that they will find that it's a very modern, state-of-the-art building. I think they should be proud to receive their care in that facility. The exam rooms have kind of an on-stage, off-stage setup where there's just a supreme amount of privacy, and you know, the rooms are designed in a way that offers a very efficient experience for the providers and for the veterans. And you know, I think it's way newer than the current facility, right? So it'll be nice to have just that standalone building that's going to be our resource for veterans up here for the next 10 to 20 years.
And just remind our audience too, this clinic is in Vincennes, but the service area that it serves is quite great.
It is, yeah. I mean, when you think about the counties that feed into the Vincennes market, we have Knox County here, Gibson County, Daviess, and Pike. But in Illinois, it's Lawrence County and Wabash County. And like I said before, there's about 2,600 veterans in those counties that they're eligible and they're leaving benefits on the table. And so I hope that all of those veterans might come to our resource fair on the 15th and learn about what we have to offer. We are growing. We have built this clinic in a larger footprint than our current facility. The new one's about 12,000 square feet. So there is room to grow, and we expect that veterans will want to get their services from us.
And sometimes with loved ones in our lives, especially thinking of veterans, maybe it takes a family member or a loved one to try to urge them to take that step. What would you tell family members to help connect their veteran to these services that they, like you said, they're leaving on the table?
Yeah, it's a lovely question, and I know lots of veterans, they might not engage with VA because they think that if they maybe they don't have a lot going on with their health, but they don't want to take something away from another veteran. And I'll tell you, that is absolutely the wrong mindset in today's VA. We want every veteran to come get their care from the VA for anything that you're eligible for. And sometimes it does take that spouse, the child, grandkids are very effective as well.
Right.
To just have that conversation, because you know, people that love veterans are partners with us already. We love our veterans more than anyone else. And I think that advocating for veterans to get good health care, have high quality care from the VA, and have wellness and a long, happy life is part of all of our duties.
So we have the resource fair at VU on August 15th. And when the facility's ready to be open, you guys are going to host an open house so the public can come see what a great resource this can be for the community.
That's right. We are working through a few punch list items on the clinic, And we're hoping to see our first patient probably the first week in September or so, and then there'll be a soft opening and then a ribbon cutting that's more open for the public probably a couple weeks after that. So once we have those dates absolutely nailed down, trust me, you will see it everywhere because we're going to have a great time opening that new facility.
Yeah, I imagine as executive director of the system, there's no small feat in your job. What is the most rewarding part for you as you interface with the veterans?
You know, I have goosebumps just from this question. I love serving veterans. I feel like my life has been called into public service, and when I was offered an opportunity to go work to serve veterans, it really became my life's work. I've done it for over 15 years, and I can tell you that I have good days and bad days like most people, and on days where I need a little pick-me-up, something to fill my cup up, I love going out into the hospital and speaking with veterans and family members and our staff. And that gives me a lot of energy to get through the rest of the day and move on to take great care of our veterans.
Well, it's great work, and we're glad to have you on board. We will be following along as the clinic opens, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
For more information on the new VA clinic, you can follow a link on our website, vincennespbs.org. Well, if you travel along State Road 61 in southern Knox County, you've definitely passed one of the most iconic landmarks that has been a constant staple in our community. Since 1898, the Verne Store has been serving the local community in a few different forms. And while new owners have brought an updated look and new life to this piece of history, their goal with the property remains the same. Nicole Cardano-Hillary has the details.
And we've kind of looked back in some of the history, and we found out some pretty interesting things about the Verne Store. The Verne Store was established in 1898, and the Gilmore family is the ones that put it in place. And it was just kind of a sundry store. I mean, you could come in here and buy hardware or anything like that. One of the things that we did find out that we thought was really interesting was during Prohibition, there was a dance hall upstairs where the apartment is now.
I did not know that.
We did not know that either. Delbert and Mary Lee Hayden was the second owners here, and they had it until 1978. And then the Dowdens purchased the store from Mr. Hayden. Old Mr. Dowden was good friends with Mr. Hayden, and when he decided he was done and he wanted to retire, he purchased that, and then his daughter, Martha, but he called her up and he said, "Hey, I bought the Hayden grocery, and I want you to come back and run it." And they came back, and then they established it as the Verne Store, and it was just still kind of a sundry place. And I don't believe it was until, several years later that they actually put the diner in.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Enjoy.
Okay, have a good day. Thank you.
Well, we purchased it in January of 23. And we kind of did away with a lot of the sundry items and grocery items and stuff like that. We weren't sure what we were going to do with it. We had no intention of running a diner. And we had many discussions about what we might be able to do with it, but during the time that it was being renovated. But we were very fortunate that Julia and Mike Ketchum contacted us and said, "Would you be interested in leasing that to us as a diner?" And we said yes, we would love to do that. I don't know how many people in the community always kept saying, "Oh, you got to keep it a diner, we need some place to go." And so we knew that was real important to the people in the community. But we tried to keep the inside as close to what it was before. Cleaned it up and did some repainting. We did have to replace the windows in the front. It had, other than that, we kept the doors. This is the original door that was originally here. We wanted to keep the original floor. We had to do some work on it. It's kind of a community thing here, getting the store back. Sure Clean came in and did a full clean on the place when we first bought it. So it has all been newly renovated.
I first came to the Verne Store in the 1960s when Delbert and Mary Lee Hayden owned it, and their son Kent and I were in the same class in high school, graduated from South Knox in 1972. My fondest memories are just eating breakfast here with the other guys and just having fun talking about this and that.
Every Friday morning they used to have biscuits and gravy, and my grandpa would come pick us up in the morning before school, and we would all come here and didn't miss a Friday from probably the second grade to sophomore year. So pretty special to us getting to spend that time with him. We still come, we still do. We bring Liam here, he's 2.5, keeping the cycle going for sure.
You think about 125 years for a store sitting here and pretty much being the same that it was in 1898. So I'm glad that we've been able to do this. Like my niece and nephew, Garrett and Michaela Kokenauer, are in a band called River City Revival, and they said, we'd like to have a concert out at the Verne Store, and we said, we can do that. And I said, you know, we really need to celebrate that 125th year for the Verne Store, because that's, you know, that is a mark in history that needs to really be recognized.
The Andersons say they hope to keep the Verne Store a key part of the community for years to come. To keep up with the diner at the Verne Store, you can follow them on Facebook. Well, folks with the Daviess County Historical Society and Museum are working hard to keep local history alive and present in the community. This includes bringing in a series of speakers to highlight different historical efforts. Here to update us on their efforts is Program Director Bruce Smith. Thanks for being here, Bruce.
Thanks for having me.
So I can't imagine what a large undertaking it is to try to keep the 200-year history of Daviess County alive and well. How is it on the day-to-day to keep that mission going?
Well, it's an interesting challenge. The Daviess County Historical Society has been in existence for almost 60 years. Mm-hmm. And shortly after it was organized, they decided to set up a museum. So the museum has been at different locations in Washington over the years. Our current location is at 212 East Main Street in Washington, and it's part of the historic district of Washington. Mm-hmm. It's in the former Masonic Lodge that was built in 1868, so wow. The building itself has a significant amount of history. The museum itself, since 2016, has been an all-volunteer staff. We don't mm-hmm. have any paid staff. And the director is Becky Krimp, and she's done a marvelous job since 2016 in organizing those volunteers and attracting talent to come into the museum and help with the exhibits and the programs and the cataloging of the collection.
I know if anyone tuning in hasn't visited the museum, you guys have a really impressive virtual tour online.
Yes.
What I guess inspired that, other than being able to connect to those far and wide?
Well, we have one of our volunteers at the museum is Ken Graber, and he's always I like to say he's our digital technological tinkerer. Mm-hmm. He's always willing to try new techniques and new technology to enhance the image of the museum. So it was Ken's idea to do the virtual tour, and I think it worked out pretty well.
I know, of course, us in public media, we love history. I think there seems to be a history bug right now, especially ahead of the 250-year celebration for our country. But you guys have put some collections online so people can search through. I'm sure that's very popular for families members that may have moved away from the area.
We have, since about 2016, the end of 2016, we use what's called Past Perfect. Mm-hmm. It's a program made by a company out of Pennsylvania specifically for museums to inventory their collection. And we've been attempting to catalog our collection since 2016 mm-hmm. into this software package. We have an online site where people can visit. It's daviesscounty.pastperfectonline.com. So we've cataloged about 20,500 items since the start of the cataloging process, and we have about 17,500 of those cataloged items uploaded to our online site.
That is awesome. But of course, for the displays that you have there at the museum, there's nothing like coming through the door to see them in person, right?
Yes, and what's amazing about the volunteer staff and Becky Krimp, she's also in charge of the exhibit committee, is they change those exhibits out on a regular basis. They call it freshening the exhibits. So if someone has been to the museum, let's say 2 years ago, we would encourage them to come back for another visit, because the exhibits will have changed. There'll be different exhibits, different things to look at. So we encourage people to come back and see us on a regular basis, because the exhibits change out and show more interesting artifacts.
There's definitely plenty of history to try to share. So you've got a great series of speakers coming in over the next several weeks. Let's start with the August 18th. You have a topic of preserving historic buildings, which is so important to try to help history live on into the future. Yes, Tommy Kleckner, who's the director of the Western Division of Indiana Landmarks, and it's a not-for-profit corporation. Their focus and mission is to preserve historical buildings and homes here in Indiana. So Mr. Kleckner is coming to the museum, and this is a Sunday afternoon program on the 18th, starting at 3 p.m. And he will be speaking about preserving historical buildings and homes here in Daviess County. He'll talk about the importance of doing that, and he'll also emphasize the challenges in preserving these buildings. And he'll have some help and insight for people who are interested in this, or if they're involved in a project where they can find funding, because preserving historical structures, quite frankly, can be expensive. Absolutely. And then on August 29th, you have comics artist John K. Snyder III coming in. He's internationally known. Yes, he is indeed. He's a native of Washington, Indiana. He's a local boy. He's an illustrator and a writer for comic books and what they call graphic novels. So he'll be coming back into town. He still has family here in the area, so he'll be in town at that time. So he's coming in on August 29, and that's an evening program at 6:30 p.m. And he'll be showing us some of the things he's done and his work. And then September 15th, Native American Archaeology, which I know is so important for our area. Yes, it's Curtis Tomac. Mr. Tomac was the archaeologist for the Indiana Department of Transportation. So when the highway department would start digging into the side of a hill and find things that looked like Native American artifacts or tools, then they would call in Mr. Tomac, and he would examine the site and try to identify it and preserve the artifacts. So he is going to come in and talk about his career, a long-time career as the archaeologist. He's going to bring some Native American artifacts with him. And then this is the interesting part about Mr. Tomac's presentation. He encourages visitors who have their own collection of Native American artifacts to bring samples into the museum that afternoon, and he'd be happy to take a look at them and see if he can help these folks identify some of their Native American artifacts. I know it can be quite impressive. I have a great uncle, Father Hilary Veek, who had an expansive arrowhead collection, and it's just impressive to see this part of our history that sometimes gets overlooked. Yes, and I think the thing that people need to understand is that the footprint of humans in this area goes back thousands of years. Right. And they keep pushing the date back. When I was a younger fellow, they used to say that humans arrived in this area about 10,000 years ago. Now they're talking like 15,000 years ago. So we have a history in Daviess County and Indiana, what's now known as Indiana, that different human cultures and communities have inhabited this area for thousands of years. Different cultures, different technologies, different tools. Right. So Mr. Tomac is an expert in that area and will help us better understand this very long-term human imprint here in southern Indiana. Well, that is great. You guys are doing a great job over at the Historical Society to try to keep that history alive, and We'll look forward to following you along.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Bruce.
Well, thanks for having me.
You can stay informed of all the happenings at the Daviess County Museum by following a link on our website, vincennspbs.org. And now for our final focus. The Knox County Fair has come and gone, but the memories of the fun times had that week will live on, especially for the kiddos who took part in the kiddie tractor pull. Take a look.
Are you ready, young lady? Let's make some noise. Push. Pedal, pedal, pedal.
Well, I expect the children and the adults to try really hard. They really try their best. We'll give them brief instructions on what to do and how to do it, and hopefully they'll follow my instructions and do a really good job.
All right, boys and girls, if you haven't listened to anything I've said so far, now is the time to do so. And at that time, you need to hit it hard. Give it a good stomp. Get going as hard and as fast as you can.
Whenever we built the first tractor, my kids liked it, and then we went to our first pull, which was a birthday party of sorts, and they liked it, and it just took off.
And either he's a coal miner or he's got one of the cameras on his head. Ready? Push.
First up, Dane Hatton.
Push. Push.
I'm sure there's a lot of farm kids that do this. I'm sure there's a lot of children that never been on a real tractor and may never been on a pedal tractor that have tried it.
27.8.
Who has a tractor? Apple. Say Apple. Apple has tractor. Yeah.
You ride in the tractor with him?
You ride with Apple? Yeah.
Well, one thing's for sure, if she doesn't go very far, she's going to blame it on the international. Push!
The facial expressions, whether they're trying really hard or have their tongue stuck out or whatever, it's just comical. And you know, the kids are what makes the show.
And that's all for this edition of First City Focus. For all of us here at Vincennes PBS, I'm Nicole Carey. You can join us again next week, but in the meantime, be sure to check out all of our latest videos online and on our YouTube channel, Vincennes PBS. Have a great week.
First City Focus is supported in part by First Vincennes Savings Bank, a community lender committed to making loan decisions locally. Online at frsb.net. Good Samaritan, a regional healthcare center offering a variety of services from primary care to same-day joint replacement surgery and more. Good Samaritan online at gshvin.org. Duke Energy, powering the lives of its customers and communities. Online at duke-energy.com. And by Vincennes PBS members, thank you.